So the vagus nerve has sensory functions and motor functions. So, for example, one of the sensory functions, it's responsible for the sensation of taste at the base of our tongue. That's one of them. And it's also responsible for sensation in the digestive tract.
It is now time for MYD Heart. It's Skrypt in the afternoon, and this is where we have heart to hearts. And this edition of MYD Heart today, I am joined by Simone Fourie, and she's from Geluk. She's a psychologist by trade. And she's here. We're here to talk about something that I initially thought was something completely different, and we're going to have a laugh about that in a second. It's the vagus nerve, and I thought it had to do with Las Vegas and a nice little holiday trip, but it is nothing of the sorts. Simone, welcome to 99 FM firstly.
Thank you for welcoming me. How are you?
I'm all right. It's been a good week. I just came from some time off. I spent the week off.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like rejuvenated again. I just took a little break, little sabbatical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'm back.
That's needed.
I'm back and I'm good. It's very needed. I wish I went to Vegas, but that's not where I was. The vagus nerve, what is that?
Yes, so the vagus nerve, I think the only thing it has in common with Las Vegas is the pronunciation. But it's the nerve that holds all the main nerves of our parasympathetic nervous system. So, big word.
Yes.
But that's a system in our bodies that calms us down after times of threat and stress. Okay? Basically that. So the vagus nerve, it's the longest nerve in our bodies. It runs from the brainstem to a part of the colon, and it connects to various organs in the body. And yes, it picks up information and various signals in the body, and then it sends it to the brain for interpretation and analysis. And so I have to mention, if we talk about the vagus nerve, what the vagal tone is, because I'll be mentioning that.
Yeah.
So the vagal tone is an internal biological process that basically just tells you, okay, how active my vagus nerve is. So, for example, a low vagal tone would mean that my vagus nerve is not active enough. Basically.
So, like, what are the many functions? Because if it's the longest nerve in the body, it must do the most work as far as nerves are concerned. So what are the various functions of the vagus nerve?
Yes, so I'll skim over a few of them. So the vagus nerve has sensory functions and motor functions. So, for example, one of the sensory functions, it's responsible for the sensation of taste at the base of our tongue. That's one of them. And it's also responsible for sensation in the digestive tract. So our stomach and all the
everything to
organs,
do with
the digestive tract. Yes. And then the motor functions, for example, it controls our heart muscles, stimulates the heart muscles. It also stimulates the muscles in our throat. And so those are some of the motor functions. And then it also controls our mood. It influences our immune response. It influences our breathing, especially. It influences our digestion. And it also is responsible for various reflexes. So like the gagging reflex, sneezing, coughing, swallowing, and vomiting. So those are some of the functions. That has various functions. And one of the other functions it has is that it connects, the brain to the gut. And that's why it can also be used to explain the connection between gut health and depression, if you've heard of that before. Yes.
I was about to try and make that link. How can a nerve in our bodies, how can we relate it to mental health problems? What is the significant tie there?
Yes, there is definitely a significant connection between the vagus nerve and our mental health and problems like stress and anxiety. So when we face periods of high chronic stress, there's high stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol pumping through our bodies, right? Those are the stress hormones. So our bodies are on high alert, all the time then. And this creates a wear and tear on the body. I mean, think about when you are very stressed at work. Think about how fatigued you become. Other issues you might experience, like gut inflammation. You might have high anxiety. You might be irritable and have mood swings. And so there's a multitude of health problems that comes along with your body being on high alert all the time. And so the vagus nerve can counteract that high alert system by calming down our body. It's part of the rest and digest and relax system. So it enables us to feel more calm and in control and able to solve our problems. And what that means is that we are able to recover quicker after stress and move on quicker after stress. So if your vagus nerve isn't functioning as it should, the vagal tone is low, then that means basically that heightened stress response in our body, it stays like that. It doesn't go away.
So how do we fix it? Like how do we, like, the vagus nerve is now not functioning how it's supposed to, the effects of that are being felt. How can we what's the stimulation there? Like, what conditions can treat it?
Yeah, so we can stimulate our vagus nerve in natural ways, and there are various ways that we can do that. One of them is through deep and slow belly breathing. So the reason for that is when we are under high stress and anxiety, we forget to breathe a lot of the times. So this forces us to actually breathe. Yes, and it reduces our anxiety. I'm also guilty. Yeah. And another way is to gargle with water. Because it actually stimulates the vagus nerve that's in your throat through the vocal cords. Another way is through cold water. So you can put your face in cold water every morning, or taking a cold shower. That's been shown to actually activate your immune response, and it has been shown to slow the heart rate down. It decreases inflammation, and it actually increases the parasympathetic activity, so basically that relaxing response in your body. And then another way that we can actually stimulate the vagus nerve is if we sleep on our right side, because a large part of the vagus nerve runs down the right side of our bodies, so sleeping on that side can actually stimulate it. Laughter is also a big one. Laughter and socializing. Once again, you know, the vocal cords and the throat muscles. Yeah, that's how the vagus nerve can be stimulated, and also like it improves our mood. As well.
Laughter, I agree with completely, because I realize when I'm down, and my group of friends, we're the same. Like the moment someone is down, we know you're coming out of like a very, not a very dark place, but like a little mellow place when you try and make us all laugh, because like when you make other people laugh, you kind of laugh as well, and then so that
it's contagious. Definitely
makes the most sense. And perhaps a trip to the actual Vegas might also contribute to the well-being of the vagus nerve.
Stimulate your vagus nerve. And another way is eating probiotic foods, because that's with related to the gut connection. So you don't need necessarily take a probiotic. You don't need to do that always. You can eat probiotic-rich foods. So like kombucha, or kimchi, if you know all those things. There's a lot of different foods that have natural probiotics in them, and it's good for us, and it stimulates our vagus nerve.
And that's all the information you need. I had no idea. All these things I just thought were feelings, but it's good to relate it and know that there's an actual physical response to stress and you know, it's just mental health issues. And once you know how to the little tips and tricks on how to treat that, I think you're right. It makes life a little easier. It makes the difficult things that we carry a little lighter as well. And Simone, thank you so much for joining us and shedding light on the vagus nerve.
Thank you.
And helping me realize that it has nothing to do with Las Vegas. This has been Simone Fourie, and she is from Geluk Psychology Services, and that's everything you need to know about the vagus nerve on MYD Heart.
MYD Heart was proudly brought to you by NHP. NHP, we are about you.